Why do I look like a clown? Why do I look like that? Hey guys, it's Lyric. Welcome back to another video. I'm so excited for this. About a month ago, I filmed a ACOTAR reading vlog where I read ACOTAR. I kept it spoiler free and a lot of you guys really liked that. I posted some clips from that video on TikTok. However, in that video I mentioned that I didn't plan on making reading vlogs for the rest of the ACOTAR books because it would be really hard to keep those spoiler free. However, I was getting a lot of comments that were like, no, I'm so disappointed that you're not going to make reading vlogs for the rest of ACOTAR because it's so good. And the books after the first one are so much better. Like, I want to see reactions, you can include all the spoilers. So I was like, I'll do it for you guys. I will do it. So that's what this video is. If you have not read ACOTAR or ACOMAF, do not watch this video because I'm including all of the spoilers and we're gonna be reading A Court of Mist and Fury. Basically, I read ACOTAR about a month ago and then I actually started this right after I finished it because I needed to. So I started this right after and I got 20% of the way through before I needed to read other books and film other videos. As you guys can tell, this book is a little massive, so I put this on pause and that was when I got all the comments about people wanting me to still film a reading vlog, and I was like, I'm already 20% of the way through. Should I still do it? So now that I have decided to film a spoiler reading vlog of this book, I'm actually going to start over. And I have no complaints. Like, does this mean I get to read about Rhysand even more? Say less. It's the way I'm already in love with him and I only got 20% of the way through this. This could possibly be one of my favorite videos ever. I have a very good feeling about this book. I think I'm gonna eat it up. And the ACOMAF reading vlog begins. This is how you know it's a good series. It's been close to a month since I finished ACOTAR. I have read like 4 pages and I'm back. Immediately back in the world. Everything's so clear. I remember everything. So it's kind of crazy. That's just how you know it's a good story and there's good characters. My heart's like anticipating that this is gonna be a good book. It's weird. It's like it knows or something. I don't know. That happens very rarely with 5 stars. I keep forgetting I can include spoilers in this. ACOTAR ended off with Feyre, I think, getting saved by the High Lords there's 7 of the High Lords, I believe. Or is it High Fae? Okay, I think the High Lords saved her, but it says she was granted the lifespan of the High Fae. I don't know the difference. I'm gonna look into it. I'm sorry, because not knowing that is bothering me. And so she's still alive. Right now she's like struggling through basically PTSD from what happened under the mountain, because I'm not gonna lie, that was a little crazy. She's with Tamlin. Tamlin's also struggling because he did go through a lot, but also I am a little bit annoyed. I feel like Tamlin could have done more. It's the way Rhysand was more helpful to Feyre under the mountain than Tamlin was. Tamlin was just so useless. Like, I know he was in a bad situation, but like, let's keep in mind, Rhysand carried. I just like, something about him. It's 1 chapter, Lyric. Calm down. There's so many like subtle things that Tamlin says that are just like, they're not red flag. If I was in Feyre's situation and a man said this to me, I'd be a little bit like, I would just have that little unease feeling. And this is what I mean. I don't know if I can handle them calling me High Lady, because once she gets married to Tamlin, she's thinking she would have like a title. And then Tamlin responds and he's like, they won't. There is no such thing as a High Lady. What do you mean there's no such thing as a High Lady? And he says, High Lords only take wives, consorts. There has never been a High Lady. And it's not like he's just stating facts. I feel like other people, Rhysand, would actually consider it or see what they can do about it. Tamlin just shuts it down immediately. Just a little thought. Also, one thing I have questioned from the beginning is, why did Feyre choose Tamlin when Lucien was standing right next to him? I'm not into redheads or anything, but something about Lucien is so hot. Like, he has the eye and the scar and the red hair. If you put him next to Tamlin, personally, I'm choosing Lucian. I have so many thoughts that I just want to like verbalize, and I feel like y'all are gonna get annoyed by how much I'm talking in this video. While I was reading chapter 4, I was taking notes, so I wanted to share some of them. This is one of those subtle red flags I was talking about when it comes to Tamlin. I'm gonna read the little quote part. I was grateful that I'd never be High Lady, never be Tamlin's equal in responsibility and power. A small forgotten part of me roared and screamed at that, but that's so not Feyre. She's such a strong, independent girl, and she's over here like, I'm glad that I'm not gonna ever be his equal. Little bit of a red flag. Then there's this other part where they're at one of these, their random like party things, and these two fays come up and talk to Ian, one of the priestesses, which she's giving me weird vibes. Weird vibes from her, but she's helpful. Like right now, in this moment, in the story, she's helpful. These two guys came up to Feyre and they saw her like markings on the tattoos that she has from Rhysand. I just like this because Feyre defends Rhysand like it's her natural instinct. Like she didn't even think about it. It just came out naturally. Flowed right out of her. So one of the guys looked down at her arm and then was like, have you heard from the High Lord at all? And she's like, no. And then he said, he's probably running scared now that Tamlin's got his powers back. And then Feyre goes, then you don't know Rhysand really well at all. It's just, I don't know. And then she hasn't had her wedding yet. Actually, I'm literally at the part of the wedding right now. But like the way Feyre hates it so much. She's like, I hate the gown. It's so ugly. I hate my hair. I cringe when I look at myself in the mirror. I hate the decor. I hate the decorations. It's your wedding day. Like, she's not enjoying any of this at all. Are we about to have a runaway bride moment? Oh, she just stepped away from him. Oh, he just reached out for her. She said, oh. Hello, Feyre, darling. He purred. How does that one interaction with Rhysand make me feel more than anything Tamlin has ever done? Like, everything Tamlin's ever done compiled into one action does not compare to that. Those 3 words that Rhysand just said tops everything. Why is my heart racing? Interrupts the wedding. He's like, oh, I thought it was over. It's been 3 months. I gave her so much time. It's time for her to keep up her end of the bargain. What do you mean? Is this a bad time? He gives me such Damon Salvatore vibes. If you've watched The Vampire Diaries, everything Damon does is so hot for the most part. Rhysand's mannerisms are so Damon Salvatore. I need to like reread that scene 5 times. Not the shoe fight. This is what I love about Feyre. She has a bold personality, but Tamlin kind of wants to tamper that down. But when she's around Rhysand, it just comes out. But Rhysand can't handle it. The way she just chucks her shoe at his head and he turns and he's like, I dare you. She just whips the other one off and chucks it right at him. And then he catches it. See, because he can handle. He can handle it. Uh-huh. Okay guys, after I updated you guys last, it was my birthday, and then the weekend, so I haven't read in like 3 or 4 days, and it's not because I'm not enjoying the book, by no means. It's just I was really busy doing a bunch of stuff, and specifically the ACOTAR books I read in big chunks, and it helps me remember the story better versus reading short little bits. I have so many things to say. So I think I left off talking about Feyre throwing her shoe. Soon after that is when she gets like the tour of the night court. Well, yeah, like where Rhysand lives. And the first thing I underlined, it says, "My room was a dream." And I feel like that's just already like, she loves it there. She just feels so at home. She really loves it. Also, there's a later part where Rhysand gives her clothes to wear. She's like, "I don't really want to admit it, but they're so comfortable." And she was able to wear pants. So since she's a hunter, she wants to be able to wear pants and be able to defend herself, and wearing like dresses and stuff that she had in the spring court does not really allow for that. Looking at the night court, and she kind of is liking it. Like, I don't think she wants to admit it. She's not going to say it out loud, but she feels more at home there. One of the main things that I cannot let go is how Rhysand acknowledges Feyre's powers and wants to help her get stronger, get smarter, and get better at her powers eventually. Like, he wants to help her. Tamlin, on the other hand, is like, "No, we're actually gonna basically ignore that you have those. You're not gonna try to strengthen them. You're not gonna explore to see what potential you have. And you're not gonna be able to defend yourself. It's only gonna be me. All you need is me." She literally killed a fairy as a human. She's a hunter. And you're over here trying to make her sit in a pretty little dress and paint all day? What? I love how Rhysand like is making Feyre practice blocking her, what is it called? Blocking like the mental gate thing. He taught her how to do that, and like he's making sure she practices reading. They are both necessary skills, but you, Rhysand, are not going to teach me anything. And he's like, "What else are you going to do with yourself? Paint?" It's the fact that he knows that painting right now is unpleasant to her, and then guess who gets her painting supplies as an apology? Tamlin, for throwing a tantrum and getting mad that Feyre, I don't even know, explodes in rage, shatters glass all over the place. She has to defend herself using her powers, and then he gives her painting supplies that she doesn't even like doing at the moment. Like, and he really thought that would like fix everything. Also, I love Rhysand's sarcasm. His sense of humor is perfect. I love everything about him. I love the way Rhysand gets mad about the way she's being treated in the spring court, and it's not because it's Tamlin. Him and Tamlin have some beef, but it's the way they treat her over there. Like, they coddle her and they treat her like she's some fragile little thing, and Rhysand literally gets mad about it. He's like, "They had you wrapped up like a present yesterday, like you were his reward." And she's like, "So?" And Rhysand says, "So?" A flicker of rage, then it was gone. Like, he's mad for her, and I love that. I love that so much. The raw command in his voice, the voice of the High Lord of the Night Court, had me acting on instinct. Me too, girl. Me too. This part. Feyre says, "I'm not a High Lord. No, but you were given life by all 7 of us. Your very essence is tied to us, born of us. What if we gave you more than we expected? What if you could stand against us? Hold your own. A high lady?" And then Feyre says, "There are no high ladies. We'll talk about that later too. But yes, Feyre, there can be high ladies." He didn't even consider. It's the way Feyre just simply asked Tamlin what a high lady was, and he was like, "No, you would never be a high lady. No way, not a thing, no can do, no ma'am." But when she's talking to Rhysand, he's literally saying, "Yes, you could be a high lady. That could be you." And she's like, "I thought there weren't any." He says, "We'll talk about it." He's in her corner, but he would push her at the same time. Like, he wants her to get better. He wants her to be better. And Tamlin just wants her to be nothing. This part, another part, Rhysand said, "But I know you more than you realize, I think. And I don't believe for 1 minute that you're remotely fine with being a pretty trophy for someone who sat on his butt for nearly 50 years, then sat on his butt while you were shredded apart." Is he wrong? No. I've already said this multiple times, but he wants the best for her. And I don't know if there are ulterior motives to it, but I don't care, because in this moment, Rhysand is up here and Tamlin is... all the little sentences that Rhysand is making her write. Rhysand is the most handsome High Lord. Rhysand is the most delightful High Lord. Rhysand is the most cunning High Lord. Oh, also Rhysand is like informing her. It's the fact that he knows that she's still on Tamlin's side, like she still wants to be with Tamlin and follow Tamlin's orders. He still answers her questions. Feyre will ask Tamlin something and he's like, it's nothing. Like he literally wants her to be dumb and have no clue what's going on. But when she asks Rhysand a question, he actually answers. Also, as soon as Feyre gets back from her first time being in the Night Court, the first thing Tamlin does is interrogate her on everything she learned. He just wants to use her. I'll use you, and then when I'm bored, we can do physical stuff. If you do anything I don't like, I'm gonna rage and almost kill you. And you'll have to protect yourself with those powers that we don't believe you actually have. You like that? So basically the trend here is that anytime Feyre goes to the Spring Court, I get bored of reading. I don't want to read. I love this part where Feyre, she was in the Spring Court. It says, so with idleness, my only option, I spent my days in the library, practicing my reading and writing, adding to that mental shield, brick by brick, layer by layer. And she's getting stronger at those skills that Rhysand wanted her to practice. I love how when she returns back to the Night Court soon after, she's really tired and Rhysand can tell. And he can also tell that something's off with her because she's not fighting back the way she normally does with his responses or like questioning him. And he realizes that that's her natural instinct. Her natural form is to ask questions, to be tough, to fight back, to have some attitude. And she's just so tired from being in the Spring Court and dealing with Tamlin's drama and rage and tantrums and whatever. And Rhysand can see that. He can see that she's not eating and he cares. He cares so much. Like he wants her attitude. He wants her to like use her powers against him. He wants her to be herself. And the way Feyre can like see some of his worry, she can see that he cares. He just, he cares so much. And I'm scared that it's gonna be like an ulterior motive. But at this point, I don't mind. I love Rhysand. Also, the way Rhysand acts around Tamlin, the way Rhysand is like all nonchalant around Tamlin, could still get Tamlin in a rattled state. I don't know what's up with Tamlin, if he has some short temper or something. How is he a High Lord? Why isn't it Lucien? That's my question. Lucien is hot, not annoying, and low-key has been better to Feyre than Tamlin has. Anytime Feyre is in the Spring Court, I just hate it. I just finished chapter 12. First off, the part where Feyre says that girl who needed to be protected, who had craved stability and comfort, she had died under that mountain. I didn't know how to go back to craving those things. So obviously Feyre's like she's tired of being and doing nothing. And then what happens right after that? After she's begged to go with Tamlin and Lucien, and she says, I'm coming along whether you want me to or not. Tamlin says, no you aren't. And then what happens? Locks her up. Her biggest fear, he does it to her. And guess who gets her out of that situation? Morgan and Rhysand. That is strike 577 for Tamlin. What is wrong with him? Sorry, I just... This part literally had me tearing up for Feyre. When Mor is carrying her, helping her escape from Tamlin's shield, she says, did you think his shield would keep us from you? Rhys shattered it with half a thought. And then she says, you're free. Not safe, not protected. Free. Speechless. Believe it or not, it's a little bit harder for me to film reading vlogs with spoilers because I want to share my every single thought. Lyric, you can't update them every other page, but anytime Rhysand is like existing, I feel the need to share every thought I have. I believe the last time I updated was after chapter 12. That's why I put like all these little fire emojis here. I have read to through chapter 21 and I have all these notes. Yeah, I have a lot of things I want to say and I want to share, and I'm going to try to do this quickly. So chapter 13 is right after Tamlin. He locked her in there and Mor and Rhysand ended up saving her, and I love Mor. I love Morgan so much. She might be one of my favorite characters right now. I just love her. I love her sense of humor. I love the way she is. I feel like if I was in this world, we would be besties. We're vibing. We're right there. Basically, Rhysand offers Feyre, he's like, you can stay here as long as you want. You never have to go back to the Spring Court if you don't want to. However, if you do want to go back to the Spring Court, I will help you. And that is one of the things I love about Rhysand. He honors Feyre and what she wants and her choices and opinions. Even if she makes a choice that he doesn't really prefer, he's still going to support her and he's still gonna listen to her. And I love the way he respects her. It's the bare minimum, but I love it. And also Feyre asked Rhysand if she can like come with him into the city, which Tamlin was always like, no, you can't do that, you need to stay locked away. And Rhysand said she could come. He also trusted her enough to keep the secrets of the Night Court. That was pretty cool to me. Then chapter 14, Rhysand takes Feyre to his home. He obviously has like a place he lives where it's big and it really gives off like Night Court, but then he also has a home and it's very homey. I literally looked up some fan art or some aesthetics of his home and it really helped me picture it. I loved it. So Rhysand takes Feyre there and we get like a little glimpse of his inner circle. Guys, we haven't even like officially met them yet. The two guys, I feel like I've heard their names before. I think one's like Cassian or something. Those two, I think they're gonna steal my heart. I love them. It was just a short little interaction, but I'm obsessed and I cannot wait to get more of them. Rhysand sacrificed to literally save this whole city, because that was one thing. Feyre was looking around and she's like, this place looks like it has not experienced hardship at all. And that's when she figures out that it was actually shielded during Amarantha? Is that how you say her name? During her reign of terror, where all the other courts have to recover from that, but this court specifically, Feyre was like, it doesn't look like anything happened, and that's because nothing did happen. Rhysand, of course, the amazing guy that he is, found a way to shield that city. As if he couldn't get any better. He does. Other cities are known to the world. Valeris has remained secret beyond the borders of these lands for millennia. No one in the other courts knows of its existence either. Yeah, in chapter 15, Feyre obviously learns that Valeris is like unknown to any of the other courts. I just think that's so cool. Rhys ends up taking her to the House of Wind, which is his home in the city, and it's like up on in or the mountain or something, and he takes her there. I think that's where she officially meets like his inner circle, I think. I love the part where he takes her to like the artist's quarter and he's like, this is what Valeris is known for, and like he knows that Feyre loved to paint but she hasn't been doing it anymore, and I can't wait. Like I feel like there's gonna be something with that later on, and I want to see the growth between Feyre and getting back to being able to create art, because I know she really loved that, but she's not doing that right now. And this is where Rhys, like, he starts explaining to that was loud. He starts explaining to Feyre about his inner circle and the tiers he has, the different people in it. She starts getting a little look into how he operates the Night Court, I guess. And there's this part where Feyre is talking about obviously everything that happened under the mountain, how she sacrificed her life, but she also took people's lives. She has a lot of like PTSD from this. She thought maybe it would be a mercy to be ended, like for her life to be over. And Rhys says, don't you ever think that, not for one damned moment. I just can't get enough of him, guys. And anytime he's like talking, I have the whole page underlined, all of his dialect, everything he ever says. I'm like, that's important. And then at the end of chapter 15, it's like they're looking at the city kind of after Rhys has given her the whole tour, and they both share like their first vulnerable moment where they kind of were both choosing to be vulnerable. Feyre's like, she's finally admitting how blinded she was by Tamlin, how she hates how she was becoming so vulnerable and weak. And then Rhysand shares how much he's gonna miss peaceful moments and peaceful nights like this if war possibly comes. But it was just a sweet moment. Chapter 16 is the dinner at the House of Wind, and I love this chapter because we finally get to officially meet Cassian, Azriel, Amren, and we've already met Morgan, but she's there as well. So yeah, we get to meet all of them, see all their personalities, the way they communicate. I ate it up. I want to be invited to this dinner. This was like kind of like an interview for Feyre. She was getting to see if she wanted to join the Night Court and help them out, be on their team, but they didn't know. They just thought she was there for dinner. I love this, getting to see their sense of humor, the way they vibed. It's such a found family feeling, and I want to be a part of it. Like, where's my family dinner interview? We got a little background into Azriel and Cassian and the way they met Rhysand. They have such a crazy backstory. It makes me love them even more already. I'm already so attached to those guys. I love this part where Feyre's thinking, I never met anyone else who had ever been hungry, desperate, not like I'd been. Cassian blinked, and the way he looked at me shifted. More assessing, more sincere. I could have sworn I saw the words in his eyes. You know what it is like. You know the market leaves. And that's referring to being a fighter type of person, because Feyre was a hunter. Cassian leads Rhysand's armies. And I just feel like the vibe between Cassian and Feyre is gonna be like little sister, older brother. Like, I can just feel it. Almost like best friends, but still siblings type of thing. I really want to see where that relationship goes. And then we learned that the Court of Nightmares is the court that Amarantha knew about. The court that she like took over and stuff like that. But this court that they're in is the Court of Dreams. And basically the thing that Rhysand had to give up was obviously being Amarantha's whore, being the ruler of the Court of Nightmares. That's what everyone thought he was, the ruler of that court. When really he's the ruler of the Court of Dreams, which that's gotta be the best court. Learning that was so cool. They basically found a way to keep the Court of Dreams a secret. And then at the end of that chapter, they talk about the King of Hibarin. Don't think I'm saying that right. How he's about to launch war. He wants to resurrect Durian. That's the guy that was in Amarantha's ring thing, like his eye and his soul were stuck in there or something. War is coming. I feel like they're trying to plan for this, and that's why Rhysand wanted Feyre to join them and to start learning how to read and block her mental borders. Shield her mental thingy. And then chapter 17, there's just kind of more talking, and then by the end of it, Rhys and Feyre have decided they're gonna go to the prison because they need to meet with the what is his name? Oh, the bone carver, to get information about kind of what's going on. And at first when they go to the prison, there's this moment where Feyre, like, she wanted to go, but her body physically wouldn't let her. Like, her body is like, no, you're not going in there. You can get stuck in there, and it's just not it. And this is another shining Rhysand moment. Feyre realized, she's like, no, I can't do this right now. And Rhysand was like, okay, we can do it later. Like, no backlash, no arguing, no pushing her. He just honors her choice, honors her feelings, and he agrees with her, and he chooses to work with her. Chapter 18, they actually do end up going to the prison, meeting with the bone carver, and this is where we're learning a lot about what's going on. It's kind of helping them get information to form a game plan. So yeah, we get that, and we also get a lot of Azriel's backstory, and it makes me love him so much because he had two brothers, and they would like beat him because he was like part Illyrian, something like that. He was like a half and half breed kind of thing, kind of like me. We learned about his backstory and how he got like those scars on his hand, and it just, like, my heart broke for him. I love him. He's so unique. He's quiet. He has like these shadows whispering to him all the time. Something about men in shadows, like Xaden Ryerson. If the shadows are on your side, let me join. Let me join. Yeah, they learn a lot about the cauldron from the bone carver, and Feyre does have to share a lot of secrets because she had to share truths or something so that they could get information from the bone carver. And I could just tell Rhysand, with some of the things Feyre was saying, he like felt so bad for her, and he just like wants to take on her pain. He wants to take her pain away from her. And then chapter 19, they basically create the plan with the inner circle, what they're gonna do. do. They're gonna try to get this book thing that Feyre has to get because she potentially has the power to like detect where this book is that they need. Half of it is one place, half of it is in another place. So they come up with the whole game plan on what they're gonna do. At the end, when Feyre is about to take a bath because she's just tired and everything, Rhysand is like helping her get ready for it. Yeah, so there's a part where Rhysand is like helping her like take off all her weapons and stuff, and he's like kneeling down to get the stuff off of the straps off of her thighs, I think. This is when they were preparing to go into the Weaver. This was like a test to see if Feyre could actually like detect things, but the Weaver is the blind lady. She's like blind, but her other senses are really strong. A lot of people get trapped and die in there, and Rhysand was like, yeah, Feyre, you're gonna go in there, be really, really quiet, don't touch anything except for my thing. But I'm not going to tell you what it is. You have to detect it. And so he's prepping her for this right before Feyre goes into the Weaver, where she's kind of playing with Rhysand. They're talking about Cassian. He said something and it was like, I think Cassian just wants to smash. That's what he wants with you. Feyre was like, okay, I'm chill with that, because she wanted to like bother Rhysand a little bit. She's like, okay, like I don't care. I need some physical release. And Rhysand was like, okay then, I'll let him know. I'll let him know. And at the end of this little banter moment, Rhys goes, did you enjoy the sight of me kneeling before you? The way I audibly gasped. He did not. He did not. If that's how good his just playful random banter is, what happens when it's more? That part was in chapter 20, but in chapter 19, there's a part where Feyre goes, so I'm your huntress and your thief? And Rhys is like, you are my salvation, Feyre. The way I would have folded. Like, how is she keeping it together? How are you keeping it together, sis? And then lastly, chapter 21, Feyre literally almost dies trying to get that ring. She's out here risking her life, and I just know Rhysand was like, is that yelling I hear? Nah, I think she got it. The way he was so unbothered, and Feyre was like on the verge of possibly dying, and there she gets out and she's like, I got your stupid ring. They get back to the inner circle, and then Rhys puts down like his shield and lets Feyre into his mind because he wants to show her why he hates Ianth so much. I always had this weird feeling about her, like this weird vibe. I just never liked her throughout ACOTAR and so far in ACOMAF, and when he finally showed us the way she like tried to seduce him and would not leave when he said to get out, and the fact she did that with other people, and the fact that she's probably doing it with Lucian now over in the Spring Court, yeah, no, don't like her. Yeah, so that's the update. There's no way you like hearing my voice that much. Oh my goodness, I'm not even halfway through and I have talked so much. Imagine. This would not be a lyric reading vlog if I didn't have a clip in the car. A little zoom in moment and then scoot back. And the shadows, that's just for effect. Don't complain about it. I have not updated you guys in a long time. I start reading this book and I get overwhelmed because I feel like I've already talked so much to you guys in this video. So instead of updating you guys all the time, I'm like, I can read a little bit more and I'll just update them later. Last time I updated y'all was after I finished chapter 21. I just finished chapter 39 and look at all the notes we have to go through. Editing this is gonna be horrible. This video is so long. So we ended with me talking about Ianth and like what she did to Rhysand and all of that stuff. Chapter 22, not too much happens. Rhys, Feyre, Cass, and Az, basically everyone except for Amren, I think, all go to Feyre's home, like her mortal home, her real home with her sisters. So then we're in chapter 23. I'm pretty sure Az, Cassian, and Rhys and all of them stayed behind for a little bit as Feyre got to like see her sisters, because obviously it's been a bit. She goes in, sees her sisters, and learns that Elaine is getting married in 5 months to a high lord who hunts Fae, and I feel like they kind of threw that in there, but it's definitely going to become a bigger plot in the story, in my opinion. I feel like he's going to become a bigger problem than he seems to be right now. Like, so Feyre's talking to her sisters about what's going on and how they need to be able to meet at this house. She barely gets Nesta's approval. Not even, really. It's just Elaine being the sweet, kind-hearted little sister she is, and she's like, you know what? Yes, you guys can meet here. We'll let it happen. And Nesta's like, only because Elaine says so. Besides that, I would never let y'all in my house. I literally love Nesta, but I hate her at the same time because I feel like Nesta and I are very similar. Is she the oldest? Is it Nesta, Feyre, Elaine? Yeah, Nesta's the oldest. Chapter 24 is so fun. The Bat Boys, Cassian as Rhys, met Feyre's sisters, and I can already see, you can already sense the tension. I feel like it's gonna be Cassian and Nesta as an Elaine, but like I'm also confused a little bit with Azriel because doesn't he like more? Well, actually we don't really know if that's true. It's just like him and Morgan will have these weird little moments, but also Morgan has moments with Cassian as well. I don't know what love triangle type stuff was going on in the past, but I love the tension. I love how it was like one of those forced conversations. And Nesta and Cassian, tell me why I already want to go to war for them. Even though they don't like each other, I need them to end up together, okay? Let's make that happen. No, there's not much to work with right now, but I can see it and I need it to happen. Oh yeah, chapter 25, Rhys takes Feyre to the forest and he's like trying to help her test her powers and everything. And he leaves her alone, which we end up learning that he did that because he wanted to see who would be the first creature or person to try to capture Feyre when she was left alone, to like see who's desperate for her powers and everything. This lighting is so annoying. So he leaves her in the forest. She gets captured by the Ator. I have no idea how to say that word. She gets captured by that. And then chapter 26, Rhys comes, he saves her really easily. Like it literally wasn't even a struggle for him. And then he sends him away and Azriel like ends up taking care of him. And then we learn that the king sent the Attra to take Feyre. Feyre ends up getting really mad at Rhys, as she should, rightfully so, because he used her as bait. And Rhys says something about how she forgot how strong she was. It's like when Feyre gets rageful and mad and like strong emotion, that's when her powers come out. That's when she realizes how strong she is. So I'm pretty sure she ends up like fighting. Oh yeah, that's when she winnows for the first time. And so far, even to the point where I am in the book, that's the only time she's been able to do so. And in that moment, that's when Rhys is like, you forgot how strong you were. Like you forgot how powerful you were. Yeah, she ends up fighting Rhys, and I love, one thing about me, I love when Rhys and Feyre fight. Why does it make me happy? Why is it so good? Why do they fight so well? Yeah, and when she catches him, like when they're fighting and she's like trying to catch Rhys and finally catches him, Feyre's like, you should have told me, because he was using her for bait. And he's like, maybe next time. There will be no next time. I'd forgotten that strength in my panic. Just like with the Weaver, I'd forgotten how strong I was. Yes, you did, Rhys snarled, because he could read her thoughts. Rhys says, you forgot that strength and that you can burn and become darkness and grow claws. You forgot, you stopped fighting. One thing about Rhys, he's going to be spitting facts, whether you want to hear it or not. He's going to give it to you straight, and that's what I love about him. Tamlin always out here trying to be like, oh no, Feyre, everything is perfectly fine in the spring court. Acting like she's the dumbest piece of... Okay, you know what? It's okay. I'm done with Tamlin. We do not speak about him, or I will get powers from my rage. Chapter 27. We get Rhysand, High Lord of the Night Court. He tries to apologize, or he does apologizes to Feyre twice. 2 times this man apologizes. You're telling me Rhysand was apologizing and Feyre still didn't forgive him? By the end of this chapter, she still hadn't like officially forgiven him, and she even says, Rhysand is like, let's just go home, and Feyre's like, Valeris isn't my home. And you can see a flash of hurt in his eyes. That man cares. That man cares. He does. He really does. Chapter 28, they're back in the night court, so they're not at Feyre's house anymore. And Rhysand lets Feyre into his mind. It shows Feyre what Azriel did to the Attor. So Feyre gets to see all the torture he got to go through. Rhysand apologizes a third time. A third time, guys. I think Feyre finally forgives him in this chapter or something, or they finally make it even, but I just can't get over the fact that this man, like, he genuinely was like, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. You guys understand. You've read the book. And then at the end, we talk about the jewel thing that Amren gave Feyre before going to the prison, and we learned that it didn't actually have any magic powers or anything. She gave the jewel to Feyre so that Feyre would have something to believe that she could get out again. And it was something that Rhys gave to Amren a long time ago. So yeah, I just thought that was cute. Amren will like randomly be so kind, and I love her. She's like this creature that we don't even really know what she is, but she's really kind. She's really fierce and scary to everyone in the Night Court, but she's so kind at times, and that was one of those moments. So I was like, oh, cute. Now we're in chapter 30. This is when Feyre starts like training with Cassian. She starts, I think it's sparring, and she has this moment where she like glimpses and she sees Azriel and Rhysand, and she's like, huh, why are these Illyrians just so hot? Where did they get it from? I mean, I don't understand how she's not like folded. I would have been like, so do you want to just like, you know? But yeah, there's this moment where Feyre's practicing sparring with Cassian. Something happens, I think, where she gets angry and upset, and she starts getting really into it, which we know when she has strong emotions, powers appear, and she has a moment where she realizes how Tamlin really used her. We have this like inner monologue moment, and we get to hear Feyre's thoughts about Tamlin. She just gets so upset, and then we see that she burns through her gloves. New power unlocked. Rhys, of course, comforts her after this and takes her into this good darkness moment. So it's like he takes her into darkness, but it's not the scary darkness, the darkness where you're anticipating danger. It's like peaceful and good darkness. And I love this quote where Feyre, I think she thinks this, and it says, "Here in the soothing, sparkling dark, a steady breath filled my lungs. I couldn't remember the last time I'd done such a thing. Breathed easily." And I was like, nah, me too, girl. I need some high lord of some night court to take me into happy darkness so I can breathe. I'm out of air. They need to come now. I won't breathe until they come. Okay, that's that's not what I meant. Then chapter 31, we're still in the sparring ring, and Rhys mentions that they finally got the invite from the summer court, and they determined that it's going to be Rhys, Feyre, and Amren that are the three that are going to go to the summer court and try to talk things through, because they have half of that book that they need to get to figure out something about the cauldron. Okay, let's just read this together, guys. Story time. Open your Bibles up to page 306. One would think a High Lord would have more important things to do than pass notes back and forth at night. I do have more important things to do, he purred. But I find myself unable to resist the temptation, the same way you can't resist watching me whenever we're out. So territorial. My mouth went dry a bit, but flirting with him, fighting with him, it was easy, fun. That line right there, I want that in my life so... Okay, I sound desperate, but I genuinely do. I want someone that I can easily fight with, and it's fun. And then Feyre says, you haven't been able to keep away from me since Calanmai, it seems. And then... Rhys goes, I can't wait to see what that sharp tongue of yours can do at the summer court, he says, gaze fixed on my mouth, and vanished into shadow. If a man drops a line like that and vanishes into shadow just so you have to think about it, how does she not fold? I know you fought off all these creatures and stuff, but like I feel like the hardest challenge is not folding to Rhysand. On to chapter 32. This is where Feyre, Rhys, and Amren are, well, they're not meeting. Feyre's meeting Tarquin. Tarquin is how I pronounce his name, and everything's pretty tense. They're meeting him in like his inner circle, I guess, whoever's working with him. Everything's really tense and forced, but it's not too bad. It's not to the point where someone's gonna attack the other. They're getting the simple intros out of the way. And yeah, that's basically it for chapter 32. Chapter 33 is really good. Okay, so Feyre's in her room in the summer court, and Rhysand joins. Are they sharing a room here? I can't remember. Yeah, I think they are, but they have different beds, sadly. I know. So Rhys says, do you like that Tarquin can't stop looking at you? I can't tell if it's because he wants you or because he knows you have his power and wants to see how much. Rhysand goes, you have one task here, Feyre. One task that no one can know about. So do anything you have to do in order to accomplish, but get that book and do not get caught. And then Feyre goes, anything? If I him for it, what would you do? I have already realized this throughout the book. Feyre has good comebacks. Rhys is amazing at flirting. But one thing about Feyre, she is always gonna have a comeback and it's gonna eat. And it even will sometimes leave them speechless. And these are men that do not shut up. They're never shut up, but Feyre has such good comebacks sometimes that they're like, that's what I love about her. Like, she does not back down and she eats with these comebacks. She has not missed. And that one right there was iconic. And he just goes, you say such atrocious things. Later on, Rhys is telling Feyre to light a candle, but she ends up splashing it with water. Another power unlocked. Since they are near water and in the summer court, Feyre's powers that have to do with water, or the powers that come from the summer court, are very strong, so she kind of like discovers it in that moment. Later on, Feyre is with Tarquin because her goal is to kind of bond with him and figure out where the half of the book is. And Rhys and Cressida is one of the people, I'm probably saying that wrong, but she's one of the people that work with Tarquin. Like, she's close in his rankings, whatever, I don't know. So Rhys and Cressida are getting close and Feyre gets a little jealous. Like, she sees it going on and so she gets a little territorial. She's just a girl, you know? And when the ship finally docks that they're on, Rhys and Cressida are nowhere to be found and Feyre's like, ugh. So in chapter 34, Tarquin is showing Feyre his treasures that she asked to see because she's like, I'm into historical stuff. And he shows her all of that. She never senses the book. And then Feyre ignores Rhysand. And it's when Rhysand is in the room with Cressida and like almost everybody. Feyre ignores Rhysand and later she walks into her room after she's been ignoring him and being a little petty, as a girl would do. She walks into her room. This man is lounging. He is just lounging on his bed, like eyebrow cocked. He knows exactly what's going on. Like, he knows she's feeling this way because how he's been with Cressida. You guys do not want to know the amount of times I've written Daemon Salvatore ? Rhysand and Daemon Salvatore would be best. Actually, they are too similar that they would hate each other, I think. Rhysand was lounging on my bed as if he owned it. And then we get to this moment where Rhys is vulnerable. And anytime he's vulnerable, my heart breaks for him. He has this demeanor and he's tough. High Lord of the Night Court, as he should be, but this man has gone through so much. This is one of the parts where he's talking to Feyre after she's come back in the room. And he goes, do you think I enjoy doing it? When he means being with that other girl, Cressida. He's like, do you think I enjoy doing it just so you have the space to ply Tarquin with your smiles and pretty eyes so we can get the book and go home? He said, I didn't take her to bed. She wanted to, but I didn't so much as kiss her. I waited for you at breakfast, but you slept in or avoided me apparently. And I tried to catch your eye this afternoon, but you were so good at shutting me out completely. And then she says, is that what got under your skin, that I shut you out? Or that it was so easy for Tarquin to get in? And then Rhys goes, what got under my skin is that you smiled at him. If he is not jealous that I smiled at another male, I don't want him. And then it says, the rest of the world faded to mist as the words sank in. Feyre goes, you are jealous. And then this part where Rhysand is like, yeah, I actually am jealous. And oh, it says, so yes, I was jealous of him because it will always be easy for him. And he will never know what it is to look up at the night sky and wish. Yeah, but Rhys is basically jealous of Tarquin's position in life because the summer court is neutral, so the other courts see it a specific way. Rhysand is known as the ruler of the court of nightmares. This is probably going to be one of my favorite quotes. Feyre is toasting with Rhys as she goes, to the people who look at the stars and wish, Rhys. And he picks up his glass, his gaze so piercing that I wondered why I had bothered blushing at all for Tarquin. Rhys clinks his glass against mine, to the stars who listen and the dreams that are answered. And I just love that, and I hope someday that Rhys gets everything he deserves and all his dreams are answered, because that man deserves it. He really does. In chapter 35, not too much happens. Feyre discovers where the book is. Feyre, Rhys, and Amren make the plan to steal the book. And then chapter 36, they get to the island area that this book is supposed to be, and Feyre and Amren start going down these stair chambers, and they have to dig down to get to it. And Feyre is able to unlock these locks because she can like summon Tarquin's, his powers and his demeanors and his physical traits. So she was able to get through the locks. However, on the last lock, the lock to the box, I think, the lock stops working, and I think the box catches her and calls her a liar. And as soon as that happens, the chamber starts flooding, and Amren and Feyre are basically trapped. And that's how that chapter ends. Then in chapter 37, Amren and Feyre are literally about to drown. They have used all their powers, and I think the chamber or the area they were in ended up like sucking up a lot of Amren's powers, because we know she is very, very powerful, and they were about to die. But guess who saved them? And I predicted this from the beginning. I knew this would eventually happen. But the water wraiths, the ones that Feyre helped with the tithe at the summer court, I'm pretending I'm talking on my phone, they ended up saving both of them. I knew that was eventually going to happen. I knew they would eventually pay their debt to her. But they get the book, and they discover that Amren is actually the only one who can. Why are you staring at me? They realize that Amren is the only one who can uncode the book, because apparently it was written by mighty beings who were here and then vanished. And that's exactly what Amren is. We still don't know specifically what she is, but we do know her kind was here and they vanished, and she has been locked here or trapped by some spell or something. So she has to figure out what the book says. Chapter 38, they're just out at the night court. They're basically waiting around. They're waiting around for the priestesses to respond, and they're also waiting for Amren to translate the other half of the book that they have. So Feyre ends up meeting Rhys outside, and she realizes he's annoyed, and that's because he received these blood rubies from the summer court. That is an official declaration that there's a price on their heads, obviously because they stole from them. Rhysand is really upset about this because Tarquin was someone he wanted to be friends with. They were very similar, and they have similar interests when it comes to how they rule. No one really wanted to steal from them, but they had to do it. They could have asked, but the chances of them saying no, it wasn't the best. Feyre realizes how upset he is, and she's like, well, anytime I was upset, especially under the mountain, this man would flirt with me and piss me off. I will do the same thing. So she goes into it. I feel like she should know this is a dangerous game, because even if he's in a bad mood, as soon as he snaps out of it, he is the flirting king. He's gonna meet you there, girl. You better be ready for it. So we're gonna read a little bit about the flirting. Yeah, so she starts off flirting, and Rhys is like, I'm not in the mood. She's like, I'm gonna go buy some of those lace clothing items. You know what that means. Like, you know what that is. Like, I bet Tarquin would come with me if I asked him to come. Maybe he'll take those blood rubies right back if I offer to wear those new lace clothing items that I'm about to go look for. Someone thinks mighty highly of herself. You seem to have difficulty not staring at me day and night. Am I supposed to deny that I find you attractive? Feyre goes, you've never said it. And he goes, I've told you many times and quite frequently how attractive I find you. And then they end up getting interrupted. That's where they get before Az flies in to tell them something. So the flirting stops. However, Feyre starts having this fantasy about what would have happened if the flirting didn't stop. It's like Rhys and Feyre end up going out shopping for the lace clothing items. Rhys like telling everyone to leave, and Feyre just like is there, and you know, it just progresses. And then Feyre realizes, she's like, this man, because he had slipped into her mind and started playing. But I love how she knew how to end up lifting his spirits, and it worked. Later on, Feyre is asleep, and she feels this really scary darkness happening, and she realizes it's her bond between Rhysand. So he's having like a really bad nightmare, and she goes in and she shakes him, she gets him out of it and calms him down. And it's just another one of those vulnerable moments, and this is one of the reasons he stays at a different house, the inner circle. He doesn't want them to know that that's happening to him. And he says they're similar to what Feyre has been going through. right at the end of that chapter, after everything is fine, he's back to normal, Feyre's helped him calm down, she also has a split-second moment where she like sees him and she looks at him and she captures that moment in her head. And as we know, she stopped painting, she just can't do it anymore, but that one moment that she captured is one that stayed in her mind as one that she wanted to paint. I just love that so much because it's Rhys at his most vulnerable, and that's what's tugging on something that she's missed doing but hasn't been able to do. I don't know, I just loved that. And right as she leaves the room, she kisses his cheek, and I know that's not a lot, but I just know Rhys was feeling butterflies at that point. I know he was like, I need this girl. Chapter 39 is really simple. Everyone's just vibing, chilling out, still kind of waiting for stuff to happen. They finally get news from the priestesses that they are ready to meet, and so everyone goes back to the mortal realm, and they're all at Feyre's house with her sisters waiting for the priestesses to arrive. And right at 11, when they scheduled that meeting, the priestesses winnow in, and that is the end of chapter 39. I feel like now is when a lot of stuff is about to go down, because this is how much I have left. I know there are many more books after this, and I hope it's not a sad ending. Someone's walking up behind me, so that's all for this update. I will update y'all later. Quick little apology. I just started reading this again right after that update. Every single time I said the priestesses, I meant the mortal queens. I told y'all not to listen to me when I talk about fantasy, because clearly I don't even know what I'm reading. The priestesses are what Ian is. The mortal queens are something else. Sorry about that, guys. Feel like as a book community, we just need to thank the beds out there that stand alone on their own, because they really do carry, like, they do so much for us. Yeah. To the single beds, thank you for everything you've done. Please continue and don't stop. Wow. Hey Tamlin, wherever you are, you're probably alive somewhere. I hate you. I want you to die. There's no way we're gonna resolve this in that many pages. No. do not want to finish this book. What? Lucian and Elaine? Wait, why do I like that? Oh my god. Rhysand's POV. What I would give for a whole book from... No, I can't do this right now. I can't finish the book right now. I can't do that. Nope. Boy, do we have some things to talk about. You just saw the clip of me finishing the book. Oh, this is one of those books I can't store away. As some of you guys know, I have to hide all my books right now. That's why I don't have a cute little bookshelf or anything. I have to hide everything I do book related from my parents. Whenever I do move out, this book is just, it's never gonna be stored away too far from me. I'm gonna need to be able to reach it. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's backtrack. So chapter 40 is when they're meeting with the priestesses. They're being so annoying. The leader of the group is like talking to Feyre in this way. Like you're not really immortal, you're more of a human. You're not too smart. Rhysand, Daddy Rhys, basically. Like, I'm not even ashamed at this point. After reading that full book, Daddy Rhys. He goes, do not condescend her. Yeah, and then Morgan talks about the woman that she fought with and how they're actually still alive. And the priestesses were like, oh, pause, wait, that could mean something. And then the priestesses are like, okay, we need proof. Like, we need proof these people are alive or that you guys are really for peace. And basically the only way they could do that is show them Valeris. We don't really want that option. Chapter 41, the inner circle basically comes up with a plan to steal the orb. Priestesses will believe what the orb shows because it's known to show the truth. They make the plan to steal that from where Morgan's father like reigns or whatever, and we get some of her backstory. As if I needed to love her even more. The way the people treated her, Sarah J Maas does so good of making strong female characters. Like Feyre, I love Feyre and Morgan. I aspire to be like them. I would say chapter 43 is where the book starts getting really, really good. Rhysand goes, I'm debating asking you to stay tomorrow so that she doesn't come. And she goes, I thought I was going. And he says, what I have to be tomorrow, who I have to become is not, it's not something I want you to see. How I will treat you, treat others. And Feyre's like, oh, the mask of the High Lord. And he's like, yes. Why don't you want me to see that? Because you've only started to look at me like I'm not a monster, and I can't stomach the idea of anything you see tomorrow being beneath that mountain, putting you back into that place where I found you. There's this one part, Feyre goes, Amren and Mor told me about the span of an Illyrian male's wings says a lot about the size of... And he goes, did they now? And then Feyre goes, they also said Azriel's wings are the biggest. When we return home, let's go get out the measuring stick, shall we? Rhys flashed me a wicked grin before he tilted down. He says, you're willing to brave my brand of darkness and put up one of your own, willing to go to a watery grave and take on the Weaver, but a little free fall makes you scream. And she goes, I'll leave you to rot the next time you have a nightmare. I said, no you won't. You liked seeing me naked too much. Yeah, and then after that, the rest of the chapter is them in the Court of Nightmares. The way Feyre becomes, she has to play the role of his whore, which was the same role that he played during Amarantha, whatever her name is. Rhys had to be her whore, and I know it like pained him having to have Feyre play that part in front of people he hated. Then when she was finally walking out and it was time for her to leave, and I think it was the king or someone said, you'll get what's coming to you, whore. And then it says night exploded into the room. And Rhysand had been so composed and done so well playing his part, but as soon as someone said that, even though that risk could have shown everyone how much she truly meant to him, he didn't care. He was like, nobody talks to her like that. At the end, she's talking about Rhys, and it says, it didn't make me forget. Didn't make me obliterate hurts or grievances. It just made me alive. Made me feel as if I'd been asleep for a year, slumbering inside a glass coffin, and he had just shattered through it and shattered me to consciousness. The High Lord, whose power had not scared me, whose wrath did not wreck me. Can't get enough of them. And then in chapter 43, Feyre's like talking to him and she's upset that he couldn't let push his feelings aside, because this whole time she's trying so hard to like put her feelings to the side and be like, he's just doing this for the part. He doesn't actually want me like this. You should have prepared yourself better. You seem to be going along just fine with it until Kier, and Rhys goes, I will kill anyone who harms you. I will kill them and take a damn long time doing it. Go ahead, hate me, despise me for it. He's like, I will protect you even if you hate me for doing it. Rhysand, everybody. She ends up talking to him and she gets to the point where she says, because what if you did let someone in? And what if they saw everything and still walked away? Who could blame them? Who would want to bother with that sort of a mess? He flinched. The most powerful High Lord in history flinched, and I knew I'd hit hard and deep. Reading about that, it made me feel so bad, because Rhys, the stuff he does, now that I've finished the book and I know even more of what Rhysand has done for Feyre, just like he's always trying to do the right thing. Like, he has such a wonderful heart, but nobody gets to see him for that. No one gets to see him the way he truly is. Like, they see him as the High Lord of the Night Court, because that's what he is, but they don't know about Valeris. No one knows about that. No one knows that he actually just wants peace. That is so kind and so like genuine. I know Feyre saying that like hurt him. That hit hard for him. Later on in the chapter, like I mentioned, Amren be spitting facts. When she speaks, it hits. And Amren's talking to Feyre. When Rhys came back after Amarantha, he was a ghost. He pretended he wasn't, but he was. You made him come alive again. I have known many High Lords, cruel ones, cunning ones, powerful ones, but never one that dreamed. Not as he does. Then Feyre says, he thinks he'll be remembered as the villain in the story. But I forgot to tell him that the villain is usually the person who locks up the maiden and throws away the key. He was the one who let me out. I just love everything. He is so kind. Like, yeah, so everyone's going to Starfall, and like Feyre doesn't really know about it. She's like, what is it? Like, I know you guys are like hyping it up, but no one wanted to tell her what it was, because they're like, it's better if you just see it. This moment is so bittersweet, because obviously when Rhysand was separated from Morrigan, Az, and Cass, and Amren, they were all separated, and it's just this moment right here was so, it was giving found family. And the stars started shooting across the sky, except I don't think they're actually stars, but they look like it. And then the moment when Feyre is just looking out, and this is part of her inner monologue, and it says, dancing as if it might be her last time, flowing between Azriel and Cassian like the three of them were one unit, one being. I looked behind me to find Rhys watching them, his face soft, sad. Separated for 50 years and reunited only to be cleaved apart so soon to fight again for their freedom. And then the part where Rhys is like explaining the things in the sky, and Feyre goes, what's happening to them? He says, I wish I knew, but they keep coming back despite it. Why? Why does anything cling to something? Maybe they love wherever they're going so much that it's worth it. Maybe they'll keep coming back until there's only one star left. Maybe that one star will make the trip forever, out of the hope that someday, if it keeps coming back often enough, another star will find it again. This part had my heart in a chokehold. They're like dancing. It says, his fingers tightened on mine and I looked up. He was smiling at me and looked so un-High Lord-like with the glowing dust on the side of his face that I grinned back. They hadn't even realized what I'd done until his own smile faded and his mouth parted slightly. Smile again, he whispered. I hadn't smiled for him ever, or laughed. Under the mountain, I had never grinned, never chuckled, and afterward, and this male before me, my friend, for all he had done, I had never given him either. Even when I had just painted something on him, for him, I'd paint it again. So I smiled at him broad and without restraint. You're exquisite, he breathed. And then the way Feyre like stutters at this part, she goes, do you want to dance with me? I whispered. And he says, you want to dance? He says it as a question, like, you really want to? Yes, Rhys, you're enough. Like, you're enough. And then Feyre says, I do not mind stepping out of the shadows. Did not mind even being in the shadows to begin with, so long as he was with me. My friend through so many dangers who had fought for me when no one else would. Even myself. That right there. That theme carries this whole book. Rhysand is always fighting for Feyre, even when she's fighting against him, even when she's fighting against herself, even when she wants to give up, he is always fighting for her. And then the end of chapter 44. Bits of stardust glowed on his lips as he pulled away, as I stared up at him, breathless while he smiled. The smile the world would likely never see. The smile he'd given up for the sake of his people, his lands. And then he says, I am very glad I met you, Feyre. The slow burn is crazy, but it's so good. I'm going to try to just share some of my favorite moments for the rest of the book. To learn about how Tamlin, his fathers, and his brothers killed Rhys's mother and sister. No, they put their heads in boxes and sent them down the river. Tamlin's father kept their wings as trophies. By all means, Rhys, slay the Spring Court. Every single one of them. Spare Lucian and that's it. Feyre's with Rhys in the forest again until she turns around because she hears her name called. And who does she see when she turns around? Lucian and Tamlin. They're trying to get Feyre to come back. We've been hunting you. It's time for you to... First off, hunting, sir. Your potential almost wife, you were hunting her. Feyre ends up standing her ground. She ate that up. She played her part, and I know Rhys was back there like, that's my girl. It took 464 pages to get to chapter 48. I soaked this chapter up. When I saw that part where it says the bed, just one bed, Feyre's like looking at Rhysand and she thinks death on swift wings. That's what I'd call the painting. And he goes, I love it when you look at me like that. Like what? Like my power isn't something to run from, like you see me. She says, I was afraid of you at first. And then, more of perfect Rhysand, I look at you and feel like I'm dying, like I can't breathe. I'm thinking that I want you so badly, I can't concentrate half the time I'm around you, and this room is too small for me to properly bed you, especially with the wings. And then the part where she's talking about what she painted for each sister, and Rhysand goes, what did you paint for yourself? And she says, I painted the night sky. It's the fact that before any of this happened, it's like invisible string. It's giving invisible string. Chapter 50, Feyre's going to catch the Surreal because she wants to find the cure for Rhysand. Why do I low-key like the relationship between Feyre and the Surreal? Why does it seem like it's low-key like a vibe? She goes and she figures out what that is, and then the Surreal kind of slightly, he's like, but if you want to save your mate, blah 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 blah. And then Feyre's like, whoa, what did you say? And the Surreal's like, oh, you didn't know that? Rhysand and Feyre are mates. Pause, what? She's a bit pissed off about that one. She figures that out. She cures him, but she's pissed off. And she's like, how long have you known this? He's like, quite a while. I suspected it for a long time. Then chapter 53, Feyre's just reflecting a little bit. She finally decides, I'm gonna be a part of the Night Court. I'm gonna embrace this role. I'm gonna keep moving forward. Although I'm mad about how I figured out that information. It's her home. This is where she belongs. Rhysand enters and he takes a look around and he's like, you painted us. And then the part where Rhysand sees that she painted all of their pairs of eyes, and he goes, what about my eyes? And she says, I was afraid to paint them. At first because I was so mad at you for not telling me. Then because I was worried I'd like them too much and find that you didn't feel the same. Then because I was scared that if I painted them, I'd start wishing you were here so much that I'd just stare at them all day, and it seemed like a pathetic way to spend my time. But then you called after me like you couldn't let go of me just yet, whether you knew it or not, and I knew we were on dangerous ground somehow. I knew that I could never speak to you or see you or think of you again. So I let you walk away. Then it says, but then she snapped your neck. Tears rolled down my face. And I felt you die, he whispered. Tears. He was crying. But I grabbed that bond between us and I tugged. I willed you to hold on, to stay with me, because if we could get free, then all 7 of us were there. We could bring you back. Then you came to find me. I almost told you then. Like he almost told her then when she came back about the bond, and it says, but you were so sad and tired, and for once you looked at me like I was worth something. So I promised myself that next time I saw you, I'd free you of the bargain, because I was selfish and knew that if I let you go right then, he'd lock you up and I'd never get to see you again. When I went to leave you, I think transforming you into Fae made the bond lock in place permanently. I'd known it existed, but it hit me then. Hit me strong. Hit me so strong that I panicked. I knew if I stayed a second longer, I'd damn the consequences and take you with me, and you'd hate me forever. He says, I told myself you were happy. I should let you be happy, even if it killed me. Even if you were my mate, you'd earn that happiness. His mate is literally getting married, but he was gonna let her make the choice. He was gonna let her choose. He says, it killed me, Feyre. Not just because you were my mate, but because I knew I was in love with you that moment I picked up the knife to kill Amarantha. But I couldn't stop being around you and loving you and wanting you. I still can't stay away. And then she says, you love me? Rhys nodded. I'm gonna compose myself real quick and then I'll be back, okay? Feyre says, and now I want you to know, Rhysand, that I love you. I want you to know. His lips trembled and I brushed away the tear that escaped down his cheek. I want you to know that I am broken and healing, but every piece of my heart belongs to you, and I am honored to be your mate. His face gleaming with tears. He went still as I leaned in, kissing away one tear, then the other, as he had once kissed away mine. And then the rest of the chapter is them doing it in paint. And then Feyre finally gets her revenge on the Ator. I just loved the way she even had to block Rhysand out. Like, he was knocking on like her mental shield, and she was like, I'm sorry, you gotta go to the side because I will kill him. She does, and she does a splendid job with it. The king puts a spell over the whole place that takes away their powers, and that's when he chooses to dunk Elaine into that cauldron, and she comes out immortal. She is now a fae. He does the same with Nesta. I love the way they wrote about Nesta at this part, and I feel like it foreshadows so much. And then right before they're about to dunk Nesta, it says Cassian against Sturt. And mind you, I forgot to mention Cassian and Azriel, I believe, they're both like, their powers are gone and they're also very injured. And it says Cassian against Sturt, slumping on the floor, but his hand twitched towards Nesta right before they dunk her in. And then this part, it says Lucian snarled at the king over the bite of the magic at his throat. Don't just leave her on the dang floor. And I started that right there. I feel like he and Elaine are gonna be mates. Yeah, they end up being mates. But right at that moment, I was like, yeah. This is part of Feyre's inner monologue when she's watching Nesta get turned into an immortal. And as if he knew he had won, I didn't care. Not as Nesta was sprawled upon the stones. I knew that she was different. From however Elaine had been made, Nesta was different. Even before she took her first breath, I felt it. This is after Nesta's been transformed into an immortal. As if the cauldron in making her had been forced to give more than it wanted. As if Nesta had fought even after she went under and had decided that if she was to be dragged into hell, she was taking that cauldron with her. As if that finger she'd pointed was now a death promise to the king of Hibern. Nesta took a breath. And when I beheld my sister with her somehow magnified beauty, her ears, when Nesta looked at me, rage, power, cunning. It's almost as if becoming a fae is going to be the best thing that happened to Nesta. Just so powerful. She has this inside anger and this wrath that's going to be utilized, I feel like, as a fae. So Feyre ends up being taken back to the Spring Court and she hates it. She hates it so much, but she made that sacrifice to save her friends. At the very end, we get a little POV from Rhysand. This was crazy to me. So apparently between the part where Feyre actually gets to the Spring Court, in the middle of the night, Rhysand meets with her, and he ends up like doing the official thing where she becomes High Lady of the Night Court. The bond between her and Rhysand, it never broke. I think it's Morrigan ends up fully explaining it to Amren and telling her everything that just happened. And Amren's like, you let them break the bond. The king said he could do it. He said he could break the bond. And then Amren said, the king is a fool. That sort of bond cannot be broken. And then Rhysand's like, no, it can't. And they both look at him. And then Amren's like, go get her then. Go get her right now. He says, no. Weren't you listening to what Feyre said to him? She promised to destroy him from within. She's going into that house to take him down, to take them all down. She is now a spy with a direct line to me. What the King of Hibern does, where he goes, what his plans are, they will know and report back. She's gonna take down both him and the King of Hibern. Like, I know it. She's gonna find a way to do it. There's this moment where Feyre glances at Lucien and it says, his gaze on me, face hard, as if he'd seen through every lie. Every time Feyre's agreeing to what Tamlin's saying, Lucien knows she's lying. Like, he knows the bond wasn't broken, and I think he knows what she's gonna do. I gave Lucien a sweet, sleepy smile. So our game began. We hit the sweeping marble stairs to the front door of the manor, and so Tamlin unwittingly led the High Lady of the Night Court into the heart of his territory. Oh, stupid Tamlin. That was a roller coaster. So that is gonna conclude and wrap up this 500-hour video. I think this is one of my biggest accomplishments. I really love this one. Easily a 5-star read, in case you couldn't tell. It is so beautiful, and Sarah J Maas, like, I forget that this is a book, and I don't know how she does it. She does it so well, but wow, I am so attached, and I'm so excited to read the book after. Don't worry, I will be making spoiler vlogs for the other books in this series. This world is amazing, but thank you guys so much for watching. If you somehow watch this long, I owe it to you. Thank you so much, and I promise my next spoiler reading vlogs will be better than this. I talked way too much in this one. Please forgive me for that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Love y'all so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!